The Philadelphia Phillies dropped Game 3 of the St. Louis series 6-5 Sunday as they lost to the Cardinals and just being one game away from sweeping the series and also sweeping the series for the season against St. Louis. Now the Phillies still sit at the top of the wild card race, and they get ready to take on the Braves tonight to kick off that series down in Atlanta. Welcome to the PHLY Phillies podcast. I'm Renee Washington, joined by my esteemed colleague, Jamie Lynch, as we kick off a new week preparing for the start of a new show. Hopefully you guys had a fantastic weekend, and there's so much to get into, from ejections to injuries to just a lot that happened, whether in the Phillies clubhouse or out around the league. So without further ado, Jamie, let's dive right in. Thanks to you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you're excited to join the conversation today. And I don't know where to begin, but let's just start with your initial takeaways from this past weekend, looking at what the Phillies did in that 2-1 series win over St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, 12 games left now on the year. Anything other than 2-1 on this weekend would have been a massive disappointment. I expected the bullpen to, the problem to rear its head again. And of course, it's Sunday in Sir Anthony, and we're going to get a lot into that today. My gut reactions of the weekend were the bats are clutch. They have kind of that it factor at the plate. A lot of guys are seeing the strike zone really well. None more so than Bryce Harper on Friday night. And I guess let's just start there, Renee. When Bryce Harper is calling you out for a missed strike call, him and Bryson Stott, if they say it's a ball, because those two are absolutely locked in with the strike zone at the plate right now. We'll get into the robo-ump thing, but Bryce had every right to be pissed off. These umpires are little babies. They're little man babies that take things personal. And it wasn't the call. It was a thrown helmet that made him react that way. That was just ridiculous. But luckily, Castellanos and the guys had kind of padded that game for the Phillies, and it didn't come back to bite them. But Friday night started the series off in St. Louis on a great note. And, my gut reaction is robo-umps and bullpen problems.
Robo-umps and bullpen problems.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, as you talk about, Friday night, the Phillies did get the series off, and we expected them to start off the series strong. That opening inning, you look at how they immediately take the lead. They go up 4-0. Overall, this was a bounce-back game, and we talked about it from having just dropped 5 out of 6 games to then come back and wanting to get back in the win column. It was needed to answer back against St. Louis, and I think Friday night, I agreed. Bryce Harper has to keep your cool a bit there. The bat and the helmet. It was kind of like you get away with 1, and you're going to try to get away with 2. And he threw it. He didn't.
He
drop
launched it. It was 75 seats. Somebody tracked it. But this just shows you
for everything.
What man babies these umpires are. And there's an account on Twitter. I think it's Umpire scorecard or Umpire dash scorecard, whatever it is. 10 of the next 11 questionable calls went the way against the Phillies. So clearly, not only did he eject a former MVP of the team and make a stand that way, but then he took it out on the Phillies in the next 11 batters, and that's just bullshit. There's no place in the game for an umpire to come in and have their emotions affect the game as much as it did.
Yeah.
And it's something I'm passionate about. I can't wait for the robo-ump era of baseball. I saw somebody in the chat say it, and it's absolutely right. We talked about it before with VAR and all these technology and the tennis technology. There's just no need for a human to be deciding strikes and balls anymore. The technology is too good. It's not like these guys are going to lose jobs. He's still going to be standing behind the plate. But there's just no need. And, look, it's a regular season game. It's not a big deal. But, come playoff time, those types of calls can sway a series. So there's just no need for it anymore. Just get lost. I'm so over umpires. Sorry.
Yeah, it's... Honestly, I know people were saying it in the chat. Let's get into the robo-umps conversation. I know, look, we were going to dive right into the games, but let's stick with the robo-umps. There's a couple things that you talked about there. One is you're throwing out one of the best players across the league. And I'm not saying there's favoritism. I actually have watched a couple of really cool documentaries and again, I love deep diving into things. And officials they're human. They naturally have, across any sport, they have players that they are kind of nudged not to throw out, not,
Sure.
to let slide with some things. And also on the other side of that, it's just frustrating that, you come into baseball heaven ready to see the Phillies play, and especially Bryce Harper, and Bryce Harper's ejected. But overall, as you talk about just bigger picture, the more concerning element is there have been a lot of missed calls, and we cannot have that come postseason time where games are decided because the ump gets it wrong. And we've been seeing the success of it in AAA game with having it the automatic ball strike. It's on the money. They can still review it. There are still, jobs are still there because they're still going to be there confirming it. But it's essentially kind of like how cops have this speeding tracker. Is like the same thing. Like ball gets thrown in, the technology is built to be able to read the strike zone, understand where the ball went, read it instantly, gives you a decision, and now it just minimizes the chances of any errors, because I agree, the umps are absolutely messing things up. And baseball is the only sport, as you're talking about, Scott Robinson, where umpires mess up big time and have the luxury to eject players and managers. It is a joke. I mean, there's time for change. Catch up with the rest of sports leagues and have some technology implemented. And it's there, so let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an easy fix. It's just there's no reason for batter to batter, pitcher to pitcher to not have that consistency throughout a game. Because, like that baby umpire, if Nola, and we'll get into him in a second, is painting the black Friday night and not getting those calls, but then, whoever the Cardinals pitcher is throwing that same exact pitch and getting the call. I mean, that's a massive effect on the games and the series, and just, a team's psyche. Like, just remove it. We don't need that human element in the game. They're still there, for plays at the plate and foul balls and all the other instances where they're going to be involved in the game. But strikes and balls, get lost. There's no need for it anymore. I cannot wait for robo-umps.
Man babies, excuse me, as we call them. Yes. Get out of here, babies.
Giant man babies.
Let's just start a chant going at a game. Man babies.
Yeah,
man
so I think it was
babies.
Tyreek said, these guys think they're the damn show, and they do,
And that's the problem. They're taking over. And like I said, when we talked about it before last week, whatever day that was, the days just overlap at this point. If you're having a game play out and you noticed the umpires, that's a problem.
That's a problem, yeah.
The game should be where you're just focused on the players. You're focused. You don't even want to talk about the managers either, to be honest. Anytime we're talking about Rob, it's usually not a good thing. So you want to have the game be played by the players. And when you have umpires that are consistently impacting game after game across the league, and it's so inconsistent where one time you're arguing for it, the next time you're like, ooh, we got away with one. Yeah. So yeah, it's time to bring out the robo-umps.
Mickey Durkin says, I might actually miss their arguments though. I mean, that's a fair point. Yeah. I kind of liked when Bryce did that, because Rob Thompson after the game is like, Bryce knows he's got to do better, and he's
we'll have
emotional.
Him back tomorrow,
but
blah,
he's doing that in a way for the team. And of course, because of the man baby aspect here, it went the opposite way. But he's trying to say, it was last year when Schwarber did it versus, I forget what ump it was, when they were playing the Pirates. He did that on behalf of both teams, because it was like, dude, what are you calling here? There's no consistency, pitch to pitch, batter to batter. And both teams were, I think it was Andrew McCutchen was out in the outfield and kind of gave Schwarber like a little golf clap there for saying something, because we just talk about these guys way too much.
Yeah.
Just way too much. And Bryce Harper, I love seeing that fire come out of him. I think he said, I was trying to read his mouth, I think he said, "You're a loser."
He did.
And I was like,
he did.
Awesome. That is perfectly Philly. So I love seeing that out of Bryce. He's sticking up for his team and giving the guy the business. Unfortunately, it just didn't go their way.
He was a sacrificial lamb, honestly. Yeah. Like you said, it could have been a number of guys that were the ones that stepped up and were just fed up. And we had been talking about on the show because we've been seeing it game after game.
It's so annoying.
And when you have, and like you said, with a player like Bryce Harper, the other thing is Bryce Harper, Bryson Stott, these are supernatural talents. Mm-hmm. They are reading the game at a whole different level than we are. They're
boys.
They're seeing everything at just a higher quality in terms of like analyzing where the ball is, where the strike zone is, when to swing, when not to swing. So when you get a call wrong against them, as you mentioned before, they're going to let you know, because they're not, this is next level thinking here of what they're able to just do to break down the game. And honestly, a lot of them probably are getting the calls correct more than the umpires.
Yeah. I don't know what is in the water in Vegas, but those guys have like supervision, because the two of them put together some of the best at-bats you can see. Yeah. If you're like a baseball purist, like our seam head producer, Tyler Zulli over there, and you'll get to know our producers here as we kind of get up off the ground running and all that. If you're a baseball purist, watching a Bryson Stott at-bat, when he just demoralizes a pitcher with 2 strikes and there's a questionable pitch, if it's a ball or strike, and he'll take it. And more often than not, it's the right decision. And then he'll, put something in play to the right side of the field. He just puts together phenomenal at bats. So whatever the hell is in the Vegas water, I wouldn't mind some of that for my old failing eyes, because those two are locked the hell in.
Yeah, it is definitely next level. It's like the GIF where there's like all the numbers being crunched and the person's like, dun, 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 dun. It's fun to watch, honestly. It is frustrating that, and I agree with you, Mike Tone, it just happens that he got tossed so early in the game. That part was kind of a bummer, especially with how the Phillies were playing at that point. It felt like it was a changing point, and after that, unfortunately, it seems like the Cardinals kind of played themselves back into it. But
that's because we should probably talk about Aaron Nola in that game.
We should probably talk about Aaron Nola, absolutely. I do want to say, before we switch into Aaron Nola and go on the Nola train, want to just let those know that are tuning in, there were some questions. Yes, Jamie has flip-flops on today.
Yes, I do. Not yet.
Actually, Jamie's not only rocking the collared shirt, which somebody called out in the chat, coming with the polo. Yeah. We're low-key matching. It's like a light pink, but the lighting on your shirt, it's like that. What color?
White, yeah.
It's like, what color is it really? But we're actually wearing the exact same, like, whatever color you want to. Yeah. It's almost like a
It's still golf season. This is the best time of year for golf.
Is it golf day?
Oh, yeah. The only thing that's annoying about the fall is the leaves. But not today, but like this weekend was like perfect.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, I love this weather.
We have jumped right into fall weather.
All right, let's bash Aaron Nola then. Let's bring it back.
As we talk about the fall, we've got to get into Aaron Nola, because this is the time where we want to see Aaron Nola, and then for the entire bullpen, clicking on all cylinders, just being more consistent, and to stop giving up so many hits and definitely so many runs. So Aaron Nola, Friday night, we were saying that Aaron Nola was the one we were keeping an eye on. Yeah. I honestly was really interested in what, of all the pitchers this weekend, what Ranger Suarez was going to do, and we'll get into that later. But Nola, who let's dive into the numbers. Not a great showing.
But there is a little positive here, and I think it's the way Rob Thompson handled him. He only gave him 4 2/3. Mm-hmm. There's some numbers here for Nola that are highly concerning, and we'll just get into them. So his first time through the order on the year, Aaron Nola has a 3.42 ERA. His second time through the order, it goes up to 5.12, and then his third time through the order, it's 5.03. So this has, the Phillies are very analytical. There's a whole analytics department that meets with the managers regularly. These numbers are known by Rob Thompson and his bench staff. I think it's on their mind because he only got 4 2/3 innings on Friday night. He let up 2 singles in a row, which is kind of the telltale sign for Nola that it's slipping. That all sucks. There's nothing I can spin that way. The positive is Rob Thompson's handling of this. And as you see with 12 games left on the year, they're going to have a short leash with Aaron Nola. Our own Charlie O'Connor actually wrote a piece on the website this weekend. You should check it out. It's on allphly.com. You can follow our Twitter accounts, and we'll link to it there. Charlie wrote, like, he tapped into my brain and wrote exactly what I was thinking, which was, okay, Aaron Nola is going to be your game 2 starter, but there's no reason he shouldn't have that quick hook, because Christopher Sanchez has become such a positive for this team that, depending on how Aaron Nola looks in that 3rd or 4th inning, if he starts letting up those singles like he did on Friday night, I love that Rob just put on, what was that old stage hook they used to just yank people off with? Rob wasn't playing around, and 4 2/3 inning from your number 2 starter isn't ideal, but when you have somebody like Michael Lorenzen and Christopher Sanchez headed to the pen, you can kind of spin that into, I don't want to say a positive, but you can mitigate the damage.
Yeah, and it reminded me of, I used to watch the Apollo Theater growing up with Steve Harvey, and when somebody wasn't a good performer.
The Kings of Comedy?
Yeah, when someone wasn't a good performer, they'd start, the clown would come out and like push them off stage, and that was this moment for Aaron Nola. You could just slowly see the game getting away from him. Yeah. You give up those 2 runs in the 3rd, and then you talk about, didn't even get to full 5 innings pitched, but looking overall, that's the 3rd straight game that he hasn't been able to go through 5 in September alone, and has been struggling, and you could could just see the hits coming in slowly. And on the other side, with the Phillies doing well, scoring runs and hitting, you just can't have that momentum switch. And especially as we're talking about Red October. So I think the short hook, the short leash for Aaron Nola come down the stretch, playoff time has to happen until you see differently. I know there was talks about the fact that Aaron Nola has obviously pitched a lot in his career, and just saying it's caught up to him, and looking at the numbers alone, that first 5 innings, he had over 90 pitches that he threw. Not to mention his career numbers are incredibly high of over 200 pitches per season for 200 strikeouts that he's had. Aaron Nola has had the career, he's had the numbers, he's had the history, but unfortunately, father time and things change, and just the wear and tear is probably what we're seeing here, that Aaron Nola needs to be on the short leash.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it for a career, he's a top 10 Phillies pitcher of all time.
Yeah.
And, people in the comments might go, oh, really? Well, start doing the list, because I've done it, and I've sat down, and he's up there. He has been a great Phillies pitcher, but it's the most Philadelphia thing in the world that we get a guy on a career year, or excuse me, on a contract year that's playing for big money, and he goes south as opposed to the opposite direction. So it's less than ideal, but thank God for Christopher Sanchez right now.
Yes.
Not that, that makes it that much better, but at least, with him and Lorenzen, you got 2 guys that you can have that quick hook. Mm-hmm. And I think Rob's... he's going to be interesting to watch, over these next 12 games. I think he's starting to kind of get into playoff form himself. And I think Friday night was an indication of that with the quick hook. And look, the Canadian, if there's one thing he can do here, it's mitigate the damage with Aaron Nola and Sir Anthony Dominguez. Now, we put a Twitter poll out. Let's go to the Twitter poll.
Roll the poll.
At PHLY_Phillies. We're not going to do this all the time, but I thought this was kind of apropos after this weekend. Mm-hmm. Question for you guys in the chat, too. If you want to start commenting in the chat with your answers, that works just as well. The question today is, which guys got you bugging out the most entering a Red October? And the options are Aaron Nola, Taijuan Walker, and Sir Anthony Dominguez. So far, Sir Anthony is leading it, which I don't disagree with. But if you have Aaron Nola voted ahead of Taijuan Walker, I think you're drunk, because Taijuan Walker has been brutal lately. But love for you to interact on the poll. Let us know who you're worried about. Aaron Nola has just become... He's a polarizing figure because he's like a robot. He never shows emotion. Like, he's just always the same. People... I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it this year. This is like one of his worst years in a Phillies uniform. But, he has been a good pitcher. Taijuan Walker has been horrendous lately. So I'm much more worried about Taijuan than I am Aaron Nola. I don't know where you fall. I didn't get your official vote when we were doing our pre-show meeting.
Scratch them all. I don't even know. It's like D, all of the above. Is that an option?
Yeah.
Honestly, it's like they're competing right now for who can be the most frustrating pitcher to watch. And I know in the chat, people are saying they're throwing the poop emojis. Throw some poop emojis at who you think is the worst of the 3. It is a toss-up. Taijuan Walker, you look at Sunday, 5 runs, 3 in the 3rd, 2 in the 5th. Obviously, we know the Phillies dropped that game. They played themselves back into it, but you can't have pitchers that are digging holes for you and giving up runs. Against St. Louis, that's a series you should sweep. I said they were going to sweep on Friday, if not drop the 3rd game, which is exactly, unfortunately, what happened. But Walker, in looking at everything that Walker's been doing, it's been rough to watch. I saw in at least 6 innings, no more than 3 earned runs. The last time that happened was on July 31st. So he's averaging more than 3 runs per game at this point, and you cannot have that when we're heading into Red October. So I don't know. It's a toss-up. Again, they're giving up runs. They're not just. It's frustrating, to be honest. And I know the conversation continues to be, oh, they'll come around and we're going to continue. I don't know why I'm in an old woman's voice right now. We're going to continue to support them. That's my Rob voice, apparently, because it's all the politically correct things. But I did like that Rob made adjustments on Friday. I would like to see some better adjustments moving forward, because Sir Anthony also is another one that's like, don't worry, Aaron. Don't worry, Taijuan. I'll be the worst pitcher. I'll be worse than you and have even worse numbers when I head to the mound.
Yeah, so there was some good with Rob and, the quick hook on Nola. But there was also the bad, which was putting Sir Anthony in another high leverage situation. And Tyreek Bailey in the comments says, is Hoffman legit or is he fool's gold? This man is legit.
Yeah.
Legit. And he should be your high leverage guy right now. That's a move I really want to see. Now, Sir Anthony was struggling a little bit in September last year and kind of kicked it into playoff mode. So he does have that equity with Rob. I don't expect Rob to make this move of avoiding high leverage situations with Sir Anthony. I would want that to happen in a perfect world. I don't expect it to happen because of what Sir Anthony gave you last year. But Hoffman is legit. His numbers, I saw yesterday, are pretty much like top 40 or 45 since he's been with the team in terms of relief pitchers. Like he's got legit numbers this year. His ERA I think is like 2.2, which can be deceiving as a relief pitcher, but his whip's really good. He's been a really, really good pitcher. And the other positive in the pen, I think Alvarado is starting to come into form a little bit. So like right now, if you ask me, Sir Anthony is like my 6th and 7th inning guy. I would throw Hoffman and Alvarado in that 7th, 8th inning, and then Kimbrel as the closer. And that's the way I would play it, but I'm not paid the big bucks that Rob Thompson is, so I don't expect that, unfortunately.
Well, Rob Thompson did speak on Sir Anthony and said that last weekend he was talking about how Sir Anthony needs to be back to what we saw last October, being that dominant pitcher in order for the Phillies to be doing well and to get to where they want to go in 2023. And yes, I agree with that. In order for them to get to where they want to go, he's got to be pitching at that level. But my reverse comment is, if he's not pitching at that level,
then
are we going to pull the plug?
Yeah.
Right. Like I agree with what Rob Thompson was saying initially. Like, we want him to be back to being that dominant pitcher, to be one of their top right-hand relievers. But if he's not, are we pulling the plug? If he's not, are we making an adjustment? Because as we're talking about, we've been seeing other pitchers that have been more consistent. Kimbrel, Hoffman, Alvarado down the stretch has been clutch. And when you look at what Sir Anthony did, again, what I think is concerning is not only are you giving up runs, he's giving up tying and go-ahead runs. And you look the last 5 games, that's 3 outings where he gave up. These are major runs, games on the line. You're stepping in, supposed to be one of the big name pitchers, and you're giving up game-changing plays that lead to the game to either be tied or now you're trailing. So I like someone in the comment was saying, instead of talking about the bad, let's talk about the good, because I agree there's some positive pitching to take away from the bullpen that we have seen at least. Yeah,
no, Alvarado looks like he's finally kind of getting back into form after coming off the IL, so that's good. Joe R. in the comments says, get Cody Clemens back up here to pitch over Sir Anthony. That's not a bad idea. I would take him at this point. It's Hoffman has been like one of the absolute bright spots of this year. And when you think about it, with the Phillies were kind of lucky to win this series in a way.
Which is sad.
Because there was Jason Stark is revered by any baseball fan in the world out there. He threw out this stat about Friday night, and when you put it in this context, they were actually lucky to win the series. So on Friday night, in the 8th inning with a 2-run lead, the Phillies allowed 7 of the next 10 hitters to reach base and didn't blow the lead. I don't know how they got out of it, but they did. And if they had lost that series in St. Louis to a team that was 16 games out of first place when the series started, we'd be fire and brimstone this morning. But luckily, they were able to hold on. And I guess you give the bullpen credit for that?
I don't know, actually, because it was like when Jose Alvarado threw the final out and it closed out the game, Phillies win 5-4, the bases are loaded. That was exactly it. There were back-to-back innings where you close out the inning with bases loaded. And it was like, okay, it's good.
Heart palpitations are back. It's almost October.
Check the pulse, the pulse. I mean, it was good, but I would like to have a situation when the bases are not loaded or you're not getting hits and we don't have to worry about that hold your breath moment, because that 5-4 could have swung and been 5-8 that you lose. Like it was that close to, a loss. So I like
Mickey
the fact
says that's luck. I mean, I guess it's probably more luck than it isn't, but
I'm gonna go with the clutch factor that Jose Alvarado was just clutch. He wanted, it was all to make us have to hold our breath a little bit more and be on the edge of our seats. Then Jose was like, I got this. Here's another fastball. You're out of here.
Check out
Game
my
over.
friendship necklace. It's really nice.
Get some more opportunities to check out the necklace and got this one down. Vinny Vici, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Rick Sachs in the comment section has been talking a lot about this, and he's absolutely absolutely right. Tyler and myself were talking about it out in the prep area before the show today. He's saying, we're not going to have to worry about Taijuan Walker until Game 4 of the NLDS. Aaron Nola is the much bigger concern there in regards to starting pitchers. Yeah, it's a 3-game series, so you're not going to see Taijuan in the first series. There was something Saturday night I absolutely love to see about Ranger. We'll get to that in a second. But he's right. It wouldn't be until Game 4 of the divisional series versus the Braves that you would have to worry about Taijuan. And then you either back up Taijuan just like you do Nola with either Lorenzen or Sanchez if need be. But let's go back to another positive. I don't know if you caught this, but Ranger had a little bit of the shoulder shimmy on Saturday night. Shimmy. He was feeling good doing the little shimmy out there. So I really like to see that out of Ranger because I probably read too much into body language at times. Yeah. But when I saw that, I went, okay, Ranger's feeling good again. He feels physically back to where he was. So that to me was a really encouraging thing to see out of Ranger Suarez, because if he's your Game 3 starter, which he probably will be, we can talk about the playoff rotation for the next 12 games at length. But I think Rangers, Nola is going to be your Game 2. Ranger will be Game 3. And if Ranger is Ranger, you should have a pretty good chance to win that third game in whatever series you find yourself in if Ranger's back to full health.
Yeah, I always like a nice shoulder shimmy, a nice little I'm feeling it. Things are feeling good. That's to me a sign of confidence. It's a kind of some swagger step into the mound that, oh yeah, I got this. Ranger Suarez absolutely making a case for being higher up in the lineup. I know
he should be too,
should be. Yeah, I completely agree with that. But when you look at the fact that Ranger Suarez, to me, I was saying the pitcher to watch for all the right reasons as of Friday, because of the fact that Aaron Nola's been struggling and Walker's been struggling. So I've been taking the high road of who do I want to see that's going to step up, because part of this is, as we're getting closer to Red October, we want to see who can we rely on, who are the guys that we know can help the Phillies get results, get wins. And Ranger Suarez has been doing his thing. It's been fantastic. And overall, it's been fun to watch. We saw him against the Marlins, obviously. That's where we first were like, okay, Ranger Suarez. And then came back out again against the Cardinals and one run over 6 innings. We're all for that. Yeah. Absolutely. So shimmy away, Ranger.
Yeah, Ed Wright says he's doing the Parkman shimmy. It makes all the men hate him and the ladies throw up here in Cleveland, doesn't it?
Oh, no.
But yeah, I mean, that was, to me, obviously he pitched a really good game, but to me, just feeling he's got a little bit of his swagger back, which to me tells me he feels good, which is huge, because look, Aaron Nola is going to be talked about a lot here in the coming 12 weeks, and especially in the divisional round. And they're probably going to be destined for the Braves if they are to win that opening round. We'll check in on the wild card updates in a minute here. But yeah, Ranger and Alvarado coming into form here and closing out the season strong could be exactly what they need. Offensively, I thought I was going to have a little more concern this time of the year, but playoff baseball is all about clutch. It's about two out RBIs and hits, and it's just about big hits at the right time. And whether it was Bohm or Castellanos this weekend, Schwarber went yard again. They just showed you offensively that they got stones.
Yeah.
So that's something to feel really good about heading into the playoffs.
Definitely a lot of positive takeaways. We, of course, have been watching the bullpen very closely, but as we know, the Phillies did win games Friday and Saturday. Also positive, score 11 runs between the 2 days, so they won 5-4, 6-1 before dropping Sunday. And as we talked about, Ranger Suarez is absolutely making a case to move up the lineup, and one of the best right now, shimmy away, the Suarez shimmy.
Yeah, the Suarez shimmy, there you go.
Making a case to be higher up, as we're seeing him consistently be one of the best pitchers in the bullpen right now for the Phillies, with Aaron Nola unable to finish 5 innings. That's for September. We're preparing for Red October, and you're in a slumping September right now, Aaron Nola. And then Taijuan Walker, who allowed 19 runs and walked 16 in his last 26 innings. So lots more to keep an eye on with the bullpen, but we do have to shift gears a little bit and talk about the wild card race. It was a wild, wild, wild weekend.
Thank you to our friends at Phoenix.
First, let me tell you guys about FOCO. Now, FOCO is the leading sports and entertainment manufacturing for any merchandise, apparel, toys, collectibles, whatever it is that you're looking to purchase. You can check out FOCO. I was actually scrolling through their website this past weekend looking for some new merch myself. You can use that code PHLY at checkout for 10% off of your first purchase with FOCO. FOCO is always great to make it simplified, give you best prices, give you great options. And of course, with that PHLY code, you can get a nice 10% off discount. So we've got to get into what happened around the league as we're talking about savings. Well, thank you, because we have been saved by the Cubs getting swept. Out in Arizona, we saw the Diamondbacks sweep. I started to bring in a broom today because I thought I was going to bring in a broom for the Philly sweep, but it's actually the Cubs sweep that I'm excited about as well. Plenty of results this past weekend. The Cubs one was definitely the most eye-opening of the all, just to see them drop their 5th straight game. And this is now the wild card race coming out of the weekend, Jamie.
Yeah, great to see. Arizona was able to make up a lot of ground on the Cubs there and take the second wild card spot. I don't, this is a jinx-free statement, but I fully believe the Phillies are going to be the top wild card spot. Which is great because that means games at Citizens Bank Park. But Arizona is a pesky team that just hasn't gone away, and that was a huge series for them this weekend versus the Cubs. And it's great to see. We love to see it, folks, because the Cubs are pesky.
The other thing that John Dickerson would love to see is you rocking the Phillies overalls. We should have a day where we all, you guys included, and you can send us your pictures of you in overalls.
What's the MSRP on those bad boys? Like $149 or something?
Let's all bring out some Phillies overalls. I love a good pair of overalls.
I haven't worn overalls since I was, like 16 months old probably. And my mommy was. Yeah, no, I'm not an overall guy.
See, as a 90s kid, the overalls were huge when I was in school growing up. I used to have one with Scooby-Doo on it. I used to have like all types of designs. It was the thing. Nice denim overalls.
Yeah, I don't think you'll be catching me in overalls anytime soon. No.
John, we tried.
Yeah, sorry, John. I'll do a lot, but I won't do that. To quote the great Meatloaf.
FOCO sells them for 10% off. There you go. Mickey with the deals. Well, look, I mean, Barbara, you're asking if everyone wants to play the Diamondbacks. I don't know right now.
They're pretty pesky. Yeah,
or pesky is a good way to put it. I don't know. Honestly, whoever the Phillies play, it's going to be a battle.
I don't want to play the Marlins.
I do not want to play the Marlins.
That is where,
yes. But I don't know. I mean, first of all, that Diamondbacks-Cubs game Saturday night alone was 13 innings. It was Gabriel Moreno who had the walk-off to win it. That was the only game. That was a game that the Cubs let get away. But the Diamondbacks just have continued to churn out the results. And after trailing, they came back. They win that one. They win the series on Sunday. They help out with the separation for the wild card race, but I don't know that you want to face the Diamondbacks either. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I just know I don't want to face the Marlins. I'm pretty good with the Reds, Arizona, or Cubs. They're all kind of in the same ballpark. Baseball show, get it? They're all in the same, kind of general care. I think the Phillies are going to beat, again, jinx-free, either of those three teams. It looks like, Gabe Kapler and the Giants now, they're only 2 games out of the last spot since he's hanging a half game back of Miami and the Cubs. But the Cubs have the advantage right now over Miami. So hopefully that keeps going. Maybe since he can jump Miami, I'd like them personally to rot in hell and miss the playoffs. But that's just my thoughts on that.
I like how you casually said that. There's something sick about a person that can casually say, I'd like them to rot in hell. With a straight face, didn't change up. Caught me totally off guard, to be honest. Yeah. But I will say the Cubs are doing everything they can to lose that wild card spot. Again, they've dropped their last 5. For the Marlins, they swept the Braves. Ugh. Now, of course, the Braves did lose Ronald Acuna Jr. on Friday with that calf injury. I know today they were saying they're going to be monitoring it to see if Acuna's able to play. But either way, I did not want to see the Marlins sweep the Braves. I'd like to see the Braves win every game except for the ones they play the Phillies. But the Marlins, their hitters alone, top in the NL. They are, Jazz Chisholm Jr. hits a grand slam. They win the game Saturday. They win the game Sunday. They sweep the Braves. And here we are with, now you want to talk about pesky. Yeah. It's those stinking Marlins.
Yeah, they're just a.
But that's not a pesky. I think that would be a whole different word. Yeah, they're a PETA.
But the Braves is going to be interesting to see here. They're going to do what's right for them, which is getting the rotation in order. I would imagine Acuna is going to get a decent amount of time off coming up here. Probably Albies and probably Riley. Snedeker will balance that, so guys are getting off certain days and they're not fully depleted. But they're not going to be a full strength team here in the final 12 games. I see some talk in the chat And I always get a little randy for magic number talk. And Chris, says the number one wild card seed magic number is at 10. To make the playoffs, magic number is at 9. So with 12 games remaining, there are your magic numbers. I think they're going to be the 1 seed. I kind of feel it. So those are the magic numbers, and I always love that time of the year when magic numbers get talked about.
I know. It's time. It's time. Look, for Atlanta specifically, without Acuna, Matt Olson continues to
God, they're good.
Break records. He just set a Brave single season record for his 52nd homer. We, of course, saw him hit some home runs at Citizens Bank Park or whatever, but they have a lot of depth in just their top 5 that without Ronald Acuna Jr., who's going to be nursing that calf injury. No Ronald, no problem for the Braves, but a problem tonight when you face the Phillies. But overall, the league in general, there's been some chaos going on. We saw Friday. I know we've been talking a lot about the wild card race, and this is by no stretch a West Coast show, but I do want to get into when the news broke that Shohei Ohtani, was cleaning out the locker, and the Angels reported it as if there was this big, dramatic, controversial thing with Ohtani, and
I thought he was
find
gone.
out it was just the injury has him done for the season after a remarkable MVP candidate season that he's now done. Going to get surgery in the next week or so. He's had the oblique injury. He's nursing that UCL tear. There's just a number of things that have been going wrong for a couple months now. And he's decided to be done and to focus on getting healthy. But of course, as it dropped, it made it seem like, holy shit, what's happening?
She did it, she cursed.
Oh no, sorry, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, it did seem like, Friday when the tweets went out that he just cleaned out his locker and left the team. And then I'm scrolling Twitter yesterday during, I'm following MLB. I had the 2 TVs going. It was great. And I'm following along, MLB Twitter. And I see Ohtani in the dugout giving his teammates some instructions or some help, some advice. And I went, oh, wait, that was a completely blown up story on Friday.
That was some clickbait. That was some absolute clickbait.
So hopefully somebody got a couple extra Twitter followers out of, stirring the MLB pot there. But that was ultimately a non-story. I guess he just cleared out his locker because he didn't need a lot of that stuff going on the IL.
The way it dropped was like there's a bag by his locker and he's cleaned it out and he's done. He's out of here. He's out of the clubhouse. And it's like, where's Ohtani going? What's happening? And only to find out he's just literally not suiting up anymore because he's injured, but still in the dugout, still on the team, still there with the Angels.
Yeah, the Angels are a real dumpster fire of a franchise. I mean, even when they had like Weaver and those guys like a decade plus ago, their pitching was never that good. They've had 2 generational type players. They go out and kind of misspend on Rendon, and they just cannot get it together. They develop no pitching there. It's a terrible organization, and hopefully Ohtani and Trout get better. On better teams here in the near future. I saw one of the comments said, all that was left in Ohtani's locker was a pair of Phillies overalls. I'm not expecting it. I'm not even going to get my mind around that because I don't think it's going to happen, but
we talked about it Friday.
Yeah.
What would you give to bring Ohtani to Philly? Jamie was willing to give up golfing forever.
Yeah.
To bring Ohtani to Philly.
I say that, and then I get real scared when I think about it, so I guess I would. I couldn't.
I don't know. What would you guys be willing to give up? Golf that's a solid thing. I mean, as you were talking about, you're a decent golfer.
Well, I mean, decent's a very loose term. I like going outside in the sun, drinking beers, and playing a sport where I can't really hurt myself. So it kind of gets my competitive juices flowing again. Anything else, I had to drop softball and basketball and all that stuff. I love just because, my body's falling apart here, so I can't be. I can't be tearing my knee again for a game of pickup basketball, but I can go out and drink a lot of beers and swing a golf club. So that's what I do these days.
There's a trade-off.
So the wild card teams, real quick, who they have now coming up. The Cubs are in action versus Pittsburgh. They have a Pirates series at home. The Giants in Arizona. This is going to be a huge series here for the wild card standings. They're facing each other. They're off tonight. That series picks up tomorrow. But the Giants have a chance to kind of flip it on Arizona. And if Arizona can really take care of business versus Gabe and the boys, then they're really going to, pretty much cement themselves in a great spot in the final 9 games. And the Reds are at home versus the Twins. And the Marlins, of course, are at home playing the Mets. I guess we have to say, let's go Mets.
Do we though? I don't know if I'm going to go that far.
I want Miami gone.
I mean, we want them to win, but we don't have to say the words.
I shouldn't be tweeting out LGM. Let's go Mets.
It's the unspoken no. It's like there's certain things that we just don't say. Like you wouldn't say, "Let's go Mets," "Let's go Cowboys," "Let's go." Like we just know. We want them to win. Please win.
Yeah.
Team that we won't openly cheer for.
But let's go Mets. Say it real low, and that way nobody will actually hear it. Something I won't say low. That is DraftKings Sportsbook, because it's that wonderful time of the year. There's so much going on. With another week of football, DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking us up for all NFL action with great offers every single game day. New customers, you can bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Throw down $5 on any of this week's epic matchups. And don't forget, you get 2 games tonight. Utah, give me 2 for an instant winner. DraftKings isn't stopping there. All customers, that includes me, can take advantage of 2 new offers every single game day this September. I took a losing Tyreek Hill promo boost last night. Bill Belichick was able to contain Tyreek Hill, so kudos to Belichick on that one. I lost that one, but the offers are always great. Football's more fun when you're in on the action, so download the app now and sign up with our code PHLY. It's right there on the screen for you. You YouTubers hop in there and use that. New customers, $5 can turn into $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, with code PHLY. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccp.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, licensed partner of Golden Nugget Lake Charles, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Of course, we all know this. It's void in Ontario, guys. So see sportsbook.com, DraftKings.com/football terms for eligibility, terms and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Woo!
For the record, for whatever reason, as you were reading, it just triggered my Siri. And my Siri decided to and all of a sudden I hear, sorry, I couldn't get that. Like, why did Siri get... weird.
I never used Siri for like... the
Siri's
first
creepy.
5-6 years of having an iPhone, and lately now I find myself using it more and more. I'll set reminders for myself with it.
I like Siri.
Timers for my girls, like if they want to. They love playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles now, and we have like the masks and stuff. And they're not watching right now, so I can say this: we're in the trust tree. I kind of hate it because I love it. Like I love to play, but I don't like playing, Master Splinter or Leonardo.
Okay. I was gonna say, who are you?
Yeah, it varies.
Okay.
I shoot for Michelangelo because he's the fun one.
Yeah, you have to.
But if my daughter claims him, then. But I do the Siri timer a lot, so I'll be like, I'll play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for 10 minutes.
Oh, you're that dad.
With that one, that's the one game I'm kind of like out on a little bit. And I also look ridiculous in the mask. So I've been using Siri more.
We need footage. All I got from that story is Jamie's going to be sharing some pictures of us pretending to be the teenager.
My wife is Master Splinter a lot.
Okay.
So Addie plays Master Splinter. I end up being Leonardo or Donatello.
Okay.
A lot because I feel like they're like the least desirable ones, even though Leonardo's kind of the leader.
Yeah,
he's kind of stale, like Raphael and Michelangelo are more funny, so they're always
pictures
highly
coming
claimed.
your way on a later episode. Stay tuned. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Keep up to date with PHLY Phillies podcast. Jamie's going to be dropping some pictures. The people want photos. Yes. First of all, I love the fact that everyone's like, buckle up. Here comes a long read. And we're just fully, again, Dr. Nighthawk. 10 minutes. I agree. A lot to unpack there that just happened during that read. I don't know that I don't openly cheer for the Cowboys or when they play the Giants. I don't cheer for anybody in those
It's all
games.
situational, right?
It is. Like if it somehow benefits the Eagles, sure. But otherwise, I will never cheer for certain teams. So I wanted to throw that out there because I might be different from other people. I just don't like cheering for those teams we don't like.
Yeah.
But then also, definitely we need the pictures for sure.
I will I will put that into consideration.
Which means it's happening.
Give me enough beers on Friday night and maybe I'll tweet it out.
There you go, guys. Bring the beer and we're going to get the pictures. There we go. So that being said, we've talked about the bullpen a lot. We also have to get into some of the excitement that we've seen. Trey Turner, let's talk about what the offense has been doing. We'll get into JT, I guess. But
he's having his worst year ever, pretty much.
He is. Maybe we should start with the bad. Let's start with JT. Let's get that out of the way, and then we can end on a high note with some positives because JT is definitely in a slump. Went 0 for 8 Saturday and Sunday. You look at the numbers overall. 4 for 32 in his last 8 games without an extra base hit or walk, and then has been saying it's not the leg kick, guys. Don't worry, it's just him. He's just not he's not there right now. He's all over the place.
If he can't get it together on the road, because his home and road splits this year were night and day. And I know Rob Thompson and JT were asked about it, and the locker room joke is, well, like, he's got like 5 kids, so of course he plays better on the road. He gets some peace and quiet, and they've been joking about that, and it's true. His road numbers have been really good this year. His home numbers suck. When you see him struggling on the road like that, it's a little concerning. You know, he's going to have 12 games here, you know, most likely 3 in the first round at home. He's got 15 games to kind of try and figure this out. And this is where Kevin Long, you know, and the Phillies, you don't have to sweat them putting in the work and trying to get it together. I'm sure Kevin Long is going over, you know, probably bring it back to basics. You know, that front foot is kind of lifting a little too much lately. So, you know, they're going to work at it. He's got 12 games to get into gear. They need him. Yeah. But they don't they don't have to rely on him. So he's almost like a cherry on top. You know, he's got to get it together, but it's not like he's Bryce or Schwarber or Turner or Castellanos. Like, you kind of have that luxury with him of him being, you know, a little extra gravy. So if he gets it going here, I mean, you're going to feel really good about this offense. Is 12 games enough to figure it out? Hopefully. In baseball, we all know it can happen like that. We saw it with Trey Turner, so hopefully JT removes his head from his butt over these last 12 games and figures this one out.
Yeah, we saw JT in the summer hit a stride. He had 3 homers in 4 games. He also was saying after the game that he's just has been struggling with confidence, with consistency. He knows it's all mental. You know, he understands that he's got to get the problem fixed. It was kind of ironic to me to see him also get asked about Sir Anthony, because I'm like, I don't know, we shouldn't really be asking JT about Sir Anthony right now because they're both struggling. Yeah. But it's like, they're both trying to figure things out right now, and they've got a little bit of time left to do it. Let's hope they do. But we know, as you mentioned, there have been plenty of other Phillies that have figured it out, starting with Trey Turner, but also Bryson Stott, Bryce Harper. Ejection aside, Bryce Harper's been fantastic. So hitting has been something we've talked about and something that we've been paying attention to all season. And right now, that's been a positive. Yes. That we can absolutely see the numbers, the home runs, the hits continue.
Yeah, and speaking of home runs, Kyle Schwarber over the weekend hit his 44th. And Kyle Schwarber will forever have my brain in a pretzel as a baseball player. I just... I tip my hat to him, because with this 44th home run, he now has 90 home runs in his first 2 years in a Phillies uniform. Oof. He surpassed Jim Thome this weekend as most home runs for a Philly in their first 2 years with the club. You know, you have to figure he's probably going to get maybe 3 or 4 more here before the end of the year. So he's going to have like 95 home runs in 2 years. And if you had told me you were getting that for what you signed him for, that's a out of the park home run contract right there for the Phils. So that kind of like floored me a little bit, because look, I understand, on base and like there's more important stats than average in modern baseball. I totally get that. But when I see that 197, and Tyler and I have had some conversations about this. It's hard for me to consider you a great player, but his production is that of a great player. Mm-hmm. So that's a me thing that I just have to get over because, growing up, it was always the Mendoza line. If you're batting below the Mendoza line, you're not a very good baseball player. Kyle Schwarber is proving that theory wrong as he continues to just hit moonshots all the time for this team. And if he can do it in meaningful baseball in the playoffs, it's an absolute game changer. And I believe his home run on Saturday was the second hardest hit home run of the Major League Baseball season. I think it left his bat at 116.1 miles an hour or something like that. So the dude is an absolute meathead. He's our meathead. And he's having a great year, man. I mean, I say that knowing he's hitting 197, so it sounds weird in my brain.
Yeah.
But
there's the pretzel.
He is having a great year.
Yeah. And in the chat, people are agreeing. Is Schwarber the love child of Dave Kingman and Matt Stairs? John Digger said, you always bring the best comments. And then Spiral Out, you're saying that the Phillies are 27 games above 500 since putting him top of the lineup in June.
I know.
There you go.
Yeah, John Dickerson said, my 96-year-old grandmother calls him my fat German.
That's gold.
That's fantastic. Another guy that hit a milestone this weekend, Alec Boehm, got his 90th RBI, and his numbers are so sneaky good. Not only is he leading the team in batting average with runners in scoring position, but he kind of set not a mark, but kind of, because the Phillies have been searching for that third baseman since Scott Rowland.
Yeah.
During the championship runs, you had, a little bit of Polanco, a little bit of, oh God, I'm blanking on this. Pedro Feliz, yes. Pete Happy. And then, Maikel Franco was going to be the next one. So third base has kind of been a turnstile. Boehm has locked it down. I've been blown away with how much his defense has improved ever since he said, I bleep and hate it here. And he got his 90th RBI of the year on Saturday, marking the first Phillies primary third baseman, to reach that plateau since Scott Rowland in 2001. So that's 22 years. He has had a great year. Alec Boehm has been awesome.
Yeah, he has. And so it's been fun to watch how offensively the Phillies have been rolling. I did see a request. Do we need to have a standing ovation for JT? You know what? Let's start it here at PHLY Phillies podcast. I think we need to call for an ovation. We're going to have to go down to Atlanta to make that ovation happen. But whoever's paying for the flights, let us know. We'll be there.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the Game Time app, because with games and concerts and all types of things going on that we want to purchase tickets to, the Game Time app makes it simple. They've got our back here in Philly. They've got yours as well. You can use the code PHLY for $20 off your purchase. They've already got great prices. They have a lot of different venues you can go to games and concerts at, and just check out the Game Time app to be able to simplify that ticket purchasing process. Well, unfortunately, there was some sad news around Phillies. Just looking at former manager at the age of 79, Charlie Manuel, who suffered a stroke this past weekend. There was a positive update.
Yeah, Missy, his wife.
The stroke happened during a medical procedure that was taking place down in Florida. Charlie's been so active and continues to be around the Phillies, especially when you're looking at spring training. And unfortunately suffered a stroke, but his wife, Missy, as you mentioned, did have a statement coming out saying that he's made progress over the past 12 hours. His doctors are encouraged. And of course, that first 24 hours was very crucial, especially for anybody, but at 79 years old, to make sure that he was making positive progress. So our thoughts and prayers and just well wishes to a healthy recovery for Uncle Charlie.
Yeah, Philly's all-time winningest manager, but an absolute gem of a human being. I've gotten to know Charlie a little bit throughout the years, and I used to produce a Charlie Manuel show in a previous life, and he's just aces, man. The guy is just, he would treat me and you the same way he would treat Jimmy Rollins and Ryan Howard or the president of the United States. He's just even. He's a baseball lifer. If you want to get into a baseball rabbit hole conversation, there's no better guy in the world to talk to. than Charlie Manuel. His stories are epic. He had a fantastic baseball lifer career. And him and his wife give back to the community so much. They're awesome, awesome people. So, let's throw some positivity out into the world for Charlie. We all know he's a fighter, and I have positive thoughts that he's going to pull out of this and, live to tell the story on the other side, and hopefully be watching some playoff baseball here in the near future. And cheering on his team from getting some rest and getting back to health. Yeah,
from a 2008 World Series championship to just all the great memories that we've had with Charlie. You definitely want to, it's hard to see this, but as they're talking about in the chat and as we're talking about, he is improving. That's the encouraging thing, that the news that's come out is that he's getting better. They were able to treat it quickly, and that's something that we're going to keep an eye on, is just how he's improving, and hopefully look forward to seeing him back out.
Yeah. And Rick in the comments says, Missy said it in her statement. She said, I'm letting him know all the outpouring and support he's getting. She said all the social media attention is definitely helping him with this battle. So, it's not just us here in Philadelphia. Yeah. All of Major League Baseball is pulling for you, Charlie. I can't imagine how beloved you are around the sport. So, all the best to you, and hopefully we're watching some playoff baseball together soon here in Philly. Yes. Now, before we wrap up here, obviously the Phillies take on the Braves to open up the series tonight. We'll definitely dive into a lot more of that tomorrow, of recapping it. But we've got a new series. Yes, we do. And Tyler, I don't want to waste his fantastic graphics work back there. But here is the upcoming series. Starts tonight with Wheeler, then you get Sanchez, and then back with Nola. And Wednesday is a unique day for us, Renee, because we'll be doing some pregame and postgame work that day, as opposed to, I've been getting a lot of questions like, what's our schedule? It kind of flows with the team, to be honest with you. It flows with some of our coworkers. It's an ever-moving thing, so we're going to do as best we can to keep you in the loop and updated with all that. So Wednesday looks like we'll probably be on around 11:45, leading you up to the game, and then an hour after the game. So Wednesday's the day game, but the 2 night games here coming up. And Aaron Nola, we'll be looking at you Wednesday with a magnifying glass yet again. I feel really good about Wheeler and Sanchez. Again, the Braves are probably going to rest Acuna. We'll see who else gets some rest for them. Whether they take it easy on the rotation. Strider and Fried, they want to get those guys right and on their regular rest days. So they have that luxury now when you lock up the game with like 15 games left in the year. That's an advantage for the Braves. So, I'd like to see 2-1 in this series. You can't go worse than 1-2. It's hard to predict because you don't know what Braves team you're going to be getting out there. But the Braves are a monster, man. It's just it's one of the best regular season teams I've seen since probably the 2011 Phillies. They're monsters. But the good thing is we know Phillies ain't afraid of them. Nope. And the Braves know that the Phillies aren't afraid of them too. And they've said that. And honestly, like you mentioned, for Atlanta, and I know John Blaze just popped in the chat, our Braves fan that the chance of you popping up as we're talking about the Braves, I love that. Big Method Man fan. You were ready. But look, as you mentioned, the Braves, they took care of business, and this is the benefit of when you clinch early. You now don't have to worry about the remainder of the season. You want to keep your team healthy, manage guys, and honestly, whatever the results are, doesn't change a thing for them. But for the Phillies, you want to make sure you can go into, as you talk about, at the very least 1-2. But we do have a unique schedule. I'm glad you pointed that out. I'm glad Tyler came through with the great graphics, because I know there have been those questions. Not only are we balancing around our team here at PHLY, but also the Phillies schedule. We've got Red October coming up. Games are all various times. So we're also looking to make sure that once per week, we're bringing you a pregame and a postgame show. And this week, that falls on Wednesday with that early start to the game. So hopefully you guys are, if you haven't already, subscribing, following, keeping up to date, because we are also sharing and posting out the times for when we'll be going live. And you guys can be sure to tune in with all the great comments you've already been bringing and all the fun, as we have a show 5 days per week, just various times. So bear with us here as we get into the funky close of the regular season and also into Red October. Yeah, and I'm sure it's going to be all pre and post game on playoff games. So really looking forward to kind of watching the playoffs with you guys. If you become a diehard member here at ALLCITY, you can hop in our Discord. I've been pretty much commenting and watching games along with people. You get a free piece of merch with your membership. You get a membership card, discounts to events we do, a lot of cool stuff. So, as always, all we ask of you is to subscribe to our channels here. Follow us on Twitter so we can keep you as informed as possible. And we want this to be the best Phillies community on the internet. And,
yes.
Renee and I are just stewards of what you guys bring to the table. We want this to be your home base for Phillies baseball, especially as we head into the playoffs here.
And if you're wondering,
home base. You see what I did? I didn't even mean it.
I love it. I like that.
This guy's a pro.
This guy's a pro. Giving yourself a pat on the back as we close the show, knowing we don't have time to fully unpack that. We're going to put a pin in the fact that Jamie just said a line and instantly complimented himself before he even had a chance to react. We'll bring that back another day. But I love the fact Randy's asked, how does an Atlanta fan even find this show? The same way you all found this show, by following us on social media, keeping up across podcast platforms if you miss us live, and of course tuning in 5 days a week to our live show. So happy that you guys have been able to join, seeing some consistent names and also some new faces that have been able to come into the conversation. We're going to come back to that home base comment by Jamie. Thank you, Julia. We're going to bring that back in our show Tuesday. Stay tuned for more coming up here on PHLY Phillies podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Go Phillies, and we'll see you for more tomorrow on Tuesday.
We all silly like the mayor.